I'm probably going to talk really fast in this video because there's a lot I want to say and don't want to cut anything out. Also, stay tuned to the very end because there's going to be a giveaway. I'm rubbing them on my body and then I'm giving them to you. G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Draw with Jazza. I'm Jazza and this is a book review of 21 Draw's Illustrator's Guidebook. Now you might assume that my review of this book would be biased because I am a contributing author to it. There are 18 total contributing authors to this book, but I will be excluding my own contribution as a factor in my own review of the book and its contents. The Illustrator's Guidebook was put together by the same group who put together the book 21 Draw, which was the highest backed Indiegogo campaign of all time. The predecessor is an incredible character design compilation book, which I did a review of in the past, which I'll link to on the screen and in the description. I highly recommend you go check that book out. Those of you who are aware of the review I did of the first 21 Draw book and are aware that it's been a sponsor of the Challenge of the Month for last year will know that I love that book. But even saying that, I honestly believe that where the Illustrator's Guidebook follows a similar premise to its predecessor, the execution is much greater. And I'm not just saying that because I'm in it. Or am I? The premise of both books is quite simple, and that is that traditional how-to art books are quite limited because usually they're written by one author and in one aesthetic style, essentially offering a vanilla option in how to draw, where 21 Draw and the Illustrator's Guidebook put together a lot of different artists to offer a how to draw perspective in a much more, shall we say, chocolate rainbow swirl with marshmallow and sprinkles sort of approach. Having a wide array of artists with different artistic approaches contribute to a book means that there's a lot of different things you can learn from different styles and authors. Now, when I say that the execution of the Illustrator's Guidebook is quite different to its predecessor, I'm referring to the fact that the initial 21 Draw book reads like a bit of a go-to inspiration book, a showcase of a wide variety of artists, all following a similar objective, and the books contain a handful of educational and instructional segments scattered throughout. The Illustrator's Guidebook, however, is a whole different level of awesome. It reads in a much more linear way with a more focused dive into the development process, and the book is broken into 8 different parts. Part 1 is fundamentals, 2 is figure drawing, 3 is character design, quite an extensive and enjoyable chapter in my opinion, 4 is perspective, 5 is backgrounds, 6 is composition. Part 7 is a little bit of an interesting experiment where a few different artists were given the same section of a poem of text that they were then to create an art piece out of in their own styles, each of which, as you can imagine, created an entirely different and original piece from that text. And finally, part 8 is called Meet the Artists, and it contains links and bios and a bit more of a personal dive into the artists themselves, which normally one might be tempted to disregard as sort of an index section of the book not worth reading, but the reality is these people have such interesting and different backgrounds that, particularly when you connect with an artist's tuition and artistic style, you're going to really love that part 8 because you're going to go find a couple of the artists you love most and then go find more of their stuff online and follow their work elsewhere. So again, to come back to that different execution I referred to earlier, if I were to describe each of these books as a different atmosphere and setting, the first 21 Draw book feels like a bit of a mini convention. Like there's 100 artists, each with their own table, each with different artwork. You can go to any of the tables in any order and see something that inspires you, and sometimes they'll tell you what they did to get to where they got, and occasionally the process will be broken down a little bit further too. But all in all, it's much more of a browsing experience, more on the side of aesthetic inspiration and discovery. The Illustrator's Guidebook feels different. The Illustrator's Guidebook feels like you're at a table at a cafe with insanely talented professionals, each of which who works in their own style and describes things in their own way, and each of which not only has their work in front of them and their computers and all this stuff, but you can go to each of them and they will show you what they're doing and how they break down their process. And the conversation with each of the different artists at this cafe table feels completely different and like a really fun conversation in its own right. The artists will get to speak in their own voices, and in the book it honestly feels natural and conversational. Now, I know personally as a contributing author to this book that my contribution wasn't tailored or over-edited in any way. I personally was allowed to write and communicate exactly how I like to, and this book reads like every other artist has had the same liberty, which is great because it keeps that authenticity from artist to artist. Now, I am an avid collector of how to draw books, but as someone who looks at a lot of them can fall into the trap of feeling too clinical or rigid or uninspiringly over-structured. The Illustrator's Guidebook doesn't restrict itself to being for beginners, for intermediate artists, or for advanced artists. Instead, as the book says in its first few pages, it's created by artists for artists. And I'm confident that an artist of literally any of those levels of expertise will gain a lot out of reading and coming back to this book again and again. As I said, as someone who collects a lot of how to draw books and looks at a lot of them, I haven't bought a lot lately because I feel like a lot of them are saying a lot of the same things. However, within the first 15 minutes of reading this book, a technique that one of the artists described that they use captured me and got me experimenting on my own, creating my own version of the same technique, which actually ended up resulting in a video I put in this channel and turned it into a tutorial to share my own version of the same technique with you guys. And that to me is absolutely amazing. That's what the creative process is about. It's reiteration and taking things that other people have created and creating your own version of them and adapting what feels natural in your own workflow and style. The thing I like best about this book is that there's no watering down of knowledge. The artists just simply share their processes. Sometimes that's really simple and easy to understand, and sometimes it's a little more technical, but honestly, whatever level you're at, you will absorb something and learn something new, and there's just too much awesome in this book for that not to happen. For example, beginners might really appreciate the introduction to perspective and character design, or the basic aesthetic differences in drawing figures of either gender in a stereotypical way. I also think intermediate artists will appreciate how the different artists color and create their final imagery in different ways and with different methods. Intermediate artists whose eyes are beginning to be a little bit more practiced and trained will be able to absorb and be inspired by the variety of aesthetic approaches to shape and anatomy. And finally, there's plenty for advanced artists to feast on too, where the contributors to this book have provided a variety of clear and to-the-point technical breakdowns of digital tools and techniques that each of them use to dramatically different effect. I am a huge fan of the organic learning process. All of this drawing stuff aside for a second, I'm actually a bit of a music enthusiast, not a professional in any sense of the word, but I love drumming. And where I had drumming lessons as a teenager, I can say in all honesty that where I learnt the most and the fastest were when I jammed, when I had musical jams with my crappy high school bands, and particularly when I had jam sessions with my drum teacher and he broke down the process and I got to see his expertise in practice. So in fact, where I'm an advocate for and an enthusiast of traditional how to draw books by a single author in a single style, in fact, I'm making my own, and if you want to pre-order it, the link's in the description. It's on character design, it's really cool. I'm also, of course, a big fan of bursts of inspiration, and in my opinion, the Illustrator's Guidebook is the equivalent of a jam session with some insanely talented professionals. Just a few words on the physical design of the book itself. It's quite different from the original 21 Draw book in that where the original softcover 21 Draw book is an extremely high quality book fit for any coffee table or book collection, the Illustrator's Guidebook honestly takes it to a whole new level. It has a matte material sort of finish in a hardcover form, and it's got one of these elastic bandy thingies fitted on the back so you can loop it around the front so that when you travel, your book doesn't get damaged or open up. I don't know what it's called, but it's got one of those. The book's pages are nice and thick, feel really sturdy, and are well printed with some great color, and everything is presented really nicely. I will, however, give you a word of warning. If you're perhaps eating a donut and you get some powder or chocolate on this book, a little bit of a wipe with a cloth and it's all good. However, this hardcover canvas texture will retain organic substances forever. You're gonna wanna look after it and keep it feeling super special. Definitely great for display cabinets. You can hold it on a book holder and keep it open at your favorite page, but don't eat donuts and chocolate when you read it. Eat first and then wash your hands, then read and enjoy the book. See, it says special edition. Keep it special, man. Keep it clean. It'll come to you clean too, because it comes with plastic wrap. Ooh. So in conclusion, I would summarize by adding that the result of this book is neither patronizing nor confusing. It's mature and inspiring and insightful and educational, and I am absolutely honored to be a part of it. And seriously, the talent and professionalism that the other co-authors have brought to this book is nothing short of staggering. Now, of course, if you're interested in the content of this book, but it's a little bit out of your budget, there is an ebook available on the same website, so go to 21-draw.com, that's 21-draw.com. If it's entirely and completely out of your budget, then that's okay too, because I will be doing a giveaway, as I mentioned at the start of this video. I'm going to give away 3 copies of the book, and if you want your chance to win, all you have to do is take a selfie or a photo of yourself holding one of your artworks with the hashtag 21drawwithjazza. I'll be selecting the winners from Twitter or Instagram specifically. So once again, photo of yourself holding a picture that you've made and are proud of with the hashtag 21drawwithjazza on Twitter or Instagram. And on top of that, the 21 Draw Illustrator's Guidebook Special Edition will be a prize in my monthly Challenge of the Month competitions, at least for the next 6 months. Giveaways and prizes aside, I highly recommend you consider getting this book. And not just because I promise that you'll love it, but because we as an artistic community choose the kind of content that is produced by what we support. So if you have the spare cash or a spot free on your birthday or Christmas wish list, I highly recommend 21 Draw, the ebook or the special edition hardcover book. In supporting 21 Draw and the Illustrator's Guidebook, you make projects like this possible and viable. This book wasn't printed by some faceless random corporation trying to sell as many books to a specific audience. This is made by artists, for artists, passionate people who want nothing more than to bring as much talent together and make something incredible. And honestly, in my opinion, they have done just that. This is where I go back to the disclaimer and just remind you that I'm not talking about myself when I say that. Like, otherwise that would be really big-headed, right? I'm talking about literally everyone else except me. But that's not to say, like, I'm not saying my contribution isn't, like, good. I did my best, but, like, I mean, honestly, I'm, like, naturally self-deprecating, so I'm not really selling it to you by saying I'm not great. I mean, I did my best, so hopefully if you like my stuff, you like my contribution, but I'm not pretty much, I mean, I feel like I try, I'm just digging a hole. I'm just digging it. Just digging my own grave here, just hop in and just bury myself. Anyways, that is my review of the 21 Draw book. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to my channel for new content every week. If you want to support my work and get some goodies for yourself, head over to my store for archives, ebooks, digital brushes, video courses, and more. If you enjoyed this video, here's a link to another video you might like from this channel. And if you want even more, make sure to check out all my behind the scenes action on my vlog channel, Daily Jazza. Draw with Jazza is proudly sponsored by Adobe. Join the Creative Cloud today and get loads of incredible creative tools like Photoshop, Animate, Premiere Pro, and other apps for your computer or mobile device. That's it for now. Thanks for joining the arty party, and until next time, I'll see you later.